Welcome back. You're watching Morning Live. Thank you for staying with us. Now, author Jacqui, The Seed Thief, is a love story with an ancient history, a tale that moves the reader from the beautiful Table Mountain to the heart of Afro-Brazilian spiritualism. In her debut offering, she has found the perfect blend between suspense and creating a visual imagery that immerses the reader into the world she creates. Jacqui joins us from our Cape Town studio. Jacqui, thank you very much for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, Sam.
Okay, I try and give away as little as I can in the intro so that we can hear it in the author's own words. But for the benefit of our viewers, give us a synopsis of The Seed Thief.
The Seed Thief is a story about a botanist. Her name is Maddie Belani, and she is in search of a very rare seed. She's on a quest which takes her from Cape Town, where she works for the Millennium Seed Bank, at Kirstenbosch, to Brazil, to the northeast corner of Brazil, to Salvador, in search of a seed that, or a plant that is extinct in West Africa, but is thought to have been taken over when people were taken as slaves to Brazil. So she's on this quest. It's a little bit of a reluctant quest because she has some personal history with Brazil, and other stuff going on in her life. But so, like all good quests, she's reluctant to go, but she heads off, and yeah, the action takes her from there.
But you've created a storyline, and when you read the reaction to The Seed Thief, it's been heaped with praise for its complexity. It deals with so many issues between these two covers. It talks about Maddie. It talks about the relationship between South Africa and Brazil. It talks about the fact that, and you can even in the book feel your own experience because you grew up in Brazil, you traveled to Salvador, and you were surprised at how African Salvador was. And all of those moments are contextualized in this book.
Yeah, it was really that connection between Africa and Brazil which started me off on the story. I was fascinated, as you said. I spent some of my childhood in Brazil, but it was only later in life that I went to Salvador. And I was just blown away. It's such a dynamic African, beautiful part of a beautiful country, and also this practice of candomblé, which is a big part of the story, because the place that the seed has been taken, or in theory, because Maddie doesn't know if it's there, is a terreiro of candomblé, which is where they practice Afro-Brazilian spiritualism, and that world I found very, very fascinating. And I really wanted to know more about it, so that's what really led me on this exploration. And for Maddie, that's the world that she gets drawn into. She's a scientist, so she's very sort of logical in her thinking. She thinks, but she really gets drawn into the magic and finds a kind of a sense of belonging that she didn't expect to find. So that was a lot of fun for me to pursue.
Was Maddie difficult to create? Because it feels almost like you had a bit of fun creating her, because she's small, she's petite, she's dark-haired, she's got this this adventurous spirit that she's always had, but maybe I think the safety of Table Mountain or Cape Town has led her to believe that she's something completely different to what she discovers in Brazil about who she really is. In an interview in 2013, you described her with somebody that has great knees. What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, that was a way of sort of differentiating her from me, because Maddie is very different from me in many ways, but because the story is written in the first person, a lot of people kind of, when they talk to me, they go, oh, you did this, you did that. I'm like, no, it's Maddie, and I have terrible knees, so that was kind of a throwaway joke line. She's a runner, and she is very small and petite. She's quite feisty. I mean, Maddie loves fynbos, and because she works in Cape Town and she works with plants, that's kind of obvious that she would have that affinity. But I felt like she was a little bit like fynbos. She's kind of hardy but delicate and kind of intricate, and there's a lot more to her than what you see on the surface. And I think the fynbos kingdom is a lot like that too. But she is an adventurer. She's also grown up over a lot of different countries, so she really doesn't have a sense of where she belongs or a sense of home. And this is kind of what drives her in the story. She has a big secret which she doesn't really admit to herself. There's a trauma in her past which she has covered over, and she circles around, and really going on this quest and going back to Brazil, where her father lives. She's estranged from her father. That really brings up a lot of issues for her, and as you say, she discovers that she's not quite as hardy and self-contained as she thinks she is. Things really begin to fall apart when she gets to Brazil, but you know, when things fall apart, you can start to put them back together, so that's not such a bad thing.
How did the fact that you've written scripts, you've been involved in movies, you've been the editor for O Magazine, you've edited other people's work, how has that shaped your writing? Because your writing has been described as having energy, pulsating rhythms, and a hypnotic quality, and that's all in a debut novel.
Wow. Well, I think you know, for me, I do think very visually, and in terms of my film work and other work that I've done writing scripts, you know, that's a sort of a very fast-paced. You think in action. You write. You're not writing a lot of interior, you know, sort of dialogue. You're writing in dialogue and action, and I think a lot in terms of scenes as well. I often just see something happening in like a fully formed scene in my head, and then I will, you know, and I will just recreate that. And yeah, so the energy, I enjoy rhythms, I think it's just part of what when you get really caught up in a story and you get caught up in a scene, it does take on a sort of a life and a rhythm of its own. But I'm very pleased to hear that, because I like rhythm in language. I think it's quite important to get that beat. There's almost like a music that you hear, and like you hear with poetry, and you know, so one just gets pulled along with that, or when I write, I get pulled along with that, and I hope the readers do too.
Very quickly, Jacqui, a lot of people are going to hear about biopiracy for the first time this morning, and your book has an element of that too. Yeah.
Well, it's really the idea that, you know, there are seeds that are yet in plants with all kinds of properties, medicinal and otherwise, that are still being discovered. And pharmaceutical companies and others, you know, are in a race to find, in this instance, the seed that Maddie is after has a potential cure for cancer. Her quest really is to find it to preserve the plant itself, because it's on the brink of extinction, or it's extinct already in Africa. So her mission is really to save the plant. But there are other people who want to take ownership of genetic material, of plants and other things, and I think it's quite a big ethical question right now, whether one can actually own genetic material, and if you do so, are you keeping it away from people who have used, in this case, plants for many years? So it's a big ethical question in the sense that biopiracy is really, you know, going out there and taking what isn't yours and appropriating it, and keeping it away from people maybe who have a bigger right to use it.
Jacqui Lange, thank you very much for joining us from our Cape Town studio, the author of The Seed Thief. It really is been heaped with praises. The reviews are absolutely amazing. Go and check it out. It's a definite must read.